Hello, race fans, and welcome to a new episode of Pure Racing Pit Reporters. And with me, signed Ryan Vargas from the United States of America, from California. You will be racing with the NASCAR Wheel and Euro Series in 2024, full time with 3F Racing in the 30 Chevrolet Camaro. Just
Yep.
tell me, how, how did you got the deal done?
Yeah, I mean, we did Osserschleim and Zolder, and both of those races were really good to us. We really enjoyed our time racing in the series, and Critical Path Security, the main, the primary partner on that race car. They came to me in the off season and they said, Ryan, we really, really like the Euro Series. They really enjoyed the coverage they got. They really enjoyed, obviously, the press out of it. Just everything about it. They really enjoyed, and I mean, of course, I enjoyed it. I had an absolute blast, racing in the series. The cars are similar to what I'm used to out here, but just different enough to where I'm a little bit out of my element. And that's exciting. It's exciting to hop into something that you don't know. And we put our heads together over here. I got with Dennis and Paul over at 3F Racing, and got with Critical Path. And over the last, I would say, 4 or 5 months, this has been a process of just getting everybody aligned, and thankfully it worked out. And we still got some more partners to announce here as time goes on, and continuing to add more and more. So just some really, really cool stuff going on there, but just really thankful, to be running in Europe. I mean, you can't get rid of me. It's fun to be out there. The racing's great, and it's gonna be a unique challenge.
Before we talk about Europe, I want to stay in the US. Last year, you had two appearances at Oschersleben and Zolder, and now you're going full time. I see a lot of media coverage about it. We had Bobby Labonte in the past here. We had Myatt Snyder here. You're now the next one going full time. How is it in your really close environment? How do they think about you going to Europe?
You know, it wasn't really on my radar. Last year, going, it was on my radar to go and do a race. That was something that I was talking to, everybody about, trying to say, I want to go run in Europe. I want to go run in Europe. I got my passport exclusively because I wanted to go run a NASCAR Euro race, a NASCAR Mexico race, a NASCAR Pinty's race, a Brazil race, whatever it is. Like, I just wanted to go run one of NASCAR's international series. And obviously I had a big focus on the Euro side because of how many, friends I have out there, people that I've been fortunate to connect with, like Jill and Hesmans and stuff like that. So now getting to have, when I got that opportunity to go out there and actually race against those guys and kind of learn about what those cars are and how the racing is, just the excitement, from the fans. I think that was probably the most exciting part about it was, yeah, it's, NASCAR overseas and Europe, and you don't really think, like, to the American mind, you don't think the two, make much sense together. But when you go to those races and you see how packed they are and how good the racing is, it makes more sense than it ever could. And so I'm excited to get back in it. I'm excited to get to Spain and try out some more tracks that I've never been on. It's gonna be a challenge this year. I know that for a fact. But with the speed that we showed in Zolder, in the dry, um, I think if we have that same speed at a lot of these races, I think we have an outside chance at getting top five, some podiums, or if things fall our way, maybe a win. So that's what I'm here to do. I'm here to race hard and race competitively.
What do your friends say about you going to Europe? What are the most common
They're
questions?
jealous. They're jealous. They love it. They love the idea of it. I've done so many of these. I've been fortunate to have now made 75 starts in NASCAR across the Xfinity and Truck Series, right? And frankly, I know I'm lucky to just have had one. Um, but I've done this now since 2019. Doing the part-time schedule. Running a majority of races in one, doing some races here, some races there. But now I'm at the point where it's like, okay, what do I do next, right? Like, there's something. Obviously, I need to change something up because I'm enjoying myself. I'm very fortunate to be in the position that I'm in, but I've done, Xfinity and truck now, I've done all that. I've been fortunate to have had the opportunities I've had. Let's change it up. I'm 23 years old. Let's travel overseas. Let's go experience these places I never would have been. Let's take my family out there. Let's make the most out of this while I can. Hopefully in, 5, 8 years time, I'm racing, in NASCAR or IMSA or whatever it may be, and all that stuff, or even racing overseas, more consistently as well. But, for right now, while I have the ability to do so, let's do it. Um, it was a no-brainer to me when we all discussed it, and I honestly couldn't be more excited. This is probably some of the most excited I've been, especially just the competitiveness of the series. There's a chance, and that's really exciting.
That's interesting because I think that's interesting for American fans and also for European fans. When you take the EuroNASCAR series, where do you place it in the whole NASCAR universe?
I think it's up there. I mean, I think it's, right on par with, I think it's right with, between that ARCA and truck and Xfinity level, you know what I mean? Like it's an international series, right? It goes to multiple countries throughout Europe. I think it's it's in the general knowledge of the garage area out here in the States. It was really cool when I was talking to my buddy Dawson Cram, who races in Xfinity, and he was racing the Texas race in the same weekend as I think it was Osterschlein, and he said that so the garage opened really early at Texas as the Euro Pro race was getting rolling. And he said that he saw a bunch of people with their phones watching the race. And I think that's the most exciting thing about it is the fact that the campaign that we did last year kind of you know, helped the Euro Series, helped myself, and just kind of helped NASCAR. NASCAR wants to go international, and I think being able to put, being able to leverage my platform, being able to leverage, how exciting the Euro NASCAR platform is, being able to show it to the audience, the American audience, like we've been fortunate to be able to. I think that's been really, really cool, and I think a lot of people in the industry are taking note, and I think that's a really exciting thing.
What do you think for an American race car driver who's coming out the typical NASCAR ladder? You're going to Legends cars, late models, R car, Truck Series, Xfinity, and hopefully someday Cup Series. Why do you
Knock
think
on wood.
the adventure going to Europe could be a good step in the career of a young racing driver?
I think it's absolutely a good step because I mean now I'm gonna come back to the States with a full season of road course racing with a little bit of oval, and and have knowledge that I never would have had. The platform of the Euro Series is going to help me as a driver, and that's the beauty of it. Is like I'm going to be able to come back. I still have my Xfinity license. I could still hop in Xfinity cars here and there. I mean, I just did this past weekend in Phoenix, but it's allowing me as a driver to expand, to broaden my reach, as an athlete and a driver into something that is totally unconventional for what I'm used to. And I think that's really important because, like I said, I've done this same thing before. I've done this part time thing, but you can only do part time stuff for so long. And with everything that we had together, with what Critical Path, was able to put together, with 3F Racing was able to put together, with what the Euro Series provides, it just made sense. And I see it as a move in the right direction for me. I had to do something different, and I think this was the right type of different.
Well, that's really, really cool. Let's talk about the culture because you
Mhm.
were here for the first time in your life. And I say here because I'm in Germany and Oschersleben
Yeah,
is far away from my place. I'm really
yeah.
closer to the Oval in Venray. I'm in Venray in 60 minutes by car. But
Hey.
Oschersleben is Germany. I am German. When you arrived here, what were the most impressive things you saw that were different to the US or even similar?
Well, so the biggest difference for me, and I tell people all the time, is that it's the craziest feeling in the world when you go somewhere that you don't speak the language of, because you see all the signs, the road signs, the traffic signs, everything, and you don't know where you're at. Like I'm used to being here in the States, and I could like land like in a plane at a race weekend and I say, okay, I'm in Wisconsin. Okay, I'm in California. But like I go to Germany and I'm like, where am I? So that's a unique thing. But just the biggest thing in terms of similarities though is the overall excitement, of the fans, with NASCAR. You know, I did that race in Germany in Osserschleim, and you know, I remember going to the fan zone. I did a little appearance there, and it was packed with people. There were people selling corn dogs. There was country music playing. There was diecast vendors. There were merchandise vendors. There was guys wearing Kyle Busch and Dale Jr. jackets. It felt like I was at a NASCAR race, and it's funny because it's not in America. So it's like this feels normal, but at the same time, it doesn't. Like something's different here. But that's awesome to me. Like I, as a racing driver, but also as a racing fan, get so excited when I see people just as excited as I am about racing, and the pure racing that the NASCAR Euro Series provides with its platform, with with the race cars, with the rule set that they have. It's really good racing. It's very exciting racing. They're not long races. They're I guess you could call them sprints almost, but you know, it's nonstop action from the start to finish, and the racers are top notch. And I think that was a big thing for me, was being able to race against some of these guys who are genuine champions in their own right, and trying to keep up. So it's a very fun experience.
You're going to visit a lot of countries you've never been to. What is the one you're most looking for?
Man, um, you know, I'm excited to go on new ones, right? Spain, Venray, obviously going to Venray. But like Venray, I have on my calendar. That's the only oval. But I'm really excited to get back to Zolder and Osserschleim, just because those are the tracks that I have experience on. I had a lot of confidence leaving those races. I did Osserschleim. By the end of the weekend, I was right off Gorelli, who I was working very closely with that weekend, and he's a extremely talented race car driver. And so to have been within the ballpark of him, it told me, okay, I'm at least learning. And then by the time we got to Zolder, me and him were neck and neck, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm keeping up with him. I'm oh my god, what happened? Um, and that was a really really cool experience, because I have a lot of respect for these guys. I mean, racing against Hesmans, watching the Euro 2 races and seeing the talent of those guys as well. And I see a lot of guys jumping from Euro 2 into Euro Pro, and so I think Euro Pro this year is going to be really stacked. So I'm going to have to step up my game. I can't go into these races expecting anything. I have to go into these races with my best foot forward. And thankfully, I think I still have 4.5, 5 weeks to prepare for Spain. So I still have plenty of time to prepare, but still, it's going to be a difficult, challenging, but exciting year, and I'm very ready for it.
You have seen during the parade that a lot of die-hard NASCAR fans in Europe know exactly who you are, what you're doing, also with Jesse Punch, with all the drivers around. I can speak for myself. I'm a commentator for the German television broadcasting of NASCAR Cup Series and Xfinity Series. I know that the guys in the Netherlands are doing a great job. In the UK, in France, there's a lot of TV coverage for the NASCAR Cup Series and all the other series. Were you aware that NASCAR is such a big thing in Europe?
I wasn't aware that I knew it was big, right? Like, obviously I knew NASCAR had a very big footprint, but I didn't realize the amount of like diehard fans there were, right? And that was really interesting to me, going out there and seeing. Like, I remember going to Osserschleim, and somebody came up to me with one of my Xfinity hero cards, asking me to sign it. I'm like, first of all, how did you get this? like this had to go overseas. But it's like, it's crazy to me. And then I see somebody come up to me with like one of my Reddit diecasts, and my Reddit card diecast for Talladega, and I'm like, this is nuts. Like, these guys knew I was coming and somehow got these diecasts out here, and they're wanting my autograph. And and it means a lot, because I'm not a Chase Elliott. I'm not some of these guys, but I know that I've made the most of my career, and to have been able to go out there and have made the splash that I have, and be able to see the excitement of these fans. I mean, you mentioned the parades, people, fans lining up the streets. I mean, even in the rain in Zolder, there was a good amount of people showing up for that. So,
Yeah.
it's so cool to see how excited people get about these events. And I think the EuroNASCAR, group over there, everybody who puts the event on, it's really important to bring the racing, or at least the cars, to the fans. And I think taking the cars through the city, through the town like that, is a really huge deal. And uh, they're just checking all the books, with how you put on an event.
I know time is precious, so I have one last question about your sporting goals next year. Or this year, this season. You're coming here. You're also in the junior trophy for drivers aged up to 25 years. You're going to be in EuroNASCAR Pro. A lot of new tracks. First of all, what are your goals? And second, how you prepare to, achieve the goals?
Man, I mean, just leaning on everybody that I'm working with, right? Last year I was fortunate to lean a lot on the Blake ones, and I'm still, planning on doing so. And, this year I'm going to be studying a lot of notes, which I have been already. I'm running laps on here, my simulator rig, whether it's on iRacing or R Factor, just getting laps, because I know some of the tracks aren't on iRacing, but just learning as much as I can, trying to be a sponge. And I will say too, and I remember, and I'm going to tell a short story. I got done at Zolder, and I remember calling my mom, and I remember saying, I have my mojo back. And that was a really cool feeling because, you know, it feels good to go out and be running up front, running with these guys, competing with some very, very incredibly talented drivers and being able to learn off of them. Because I'm a student of the sport. I like studying, I like learning. And if I can start the weekend here and then get here, then that to me is a win. And so, in terms of my goal is to obviously contend, whether that be being consistent top five, challenging for a podium, having that off chance at a win, that's my goal. I want to be in the mix. I'm not there to parade around. I know that we're showing up with flashy promotional materials. I know we're showing up with these incredible 3D rendering designs that Noah Sweet put together. But at the end of the day, I'm a racer. I want to win. And I think I have a shot. I think it's an outside shot. These guys are very talented, and I am not a road course racer by trade. But if I put in the time, if I put in the effort, if I could just be in that top five, top three, there's always a shot. We've seen how crazy these Euro races can get. So, just excited. I'm excited to travel the world. I'm excited to try new things, and you know, really just continue building on the momentum I had last year.
I'm excited because I'm working for the series since 2017, and we saw people coming from the US to our series, but also European drivers going to the US, and we see it's a lot of traffic.
Yeah.
There are two sides of the highway. They're going there, people are going away, some are coming here, and that's so cool to have different cultures, different types of racing drivers coming together, and we see who's going to be the best at the racing tracks here in Europe. Thank you so much for your time, Ryan.
No, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, then. Thank you so much also for joining us here today. And you can watch all the races of the NASCAR World News Series here on YouTube. So check it out. It's free. Bye.